specifically Fraud Friday. Big news today. Former SBA administrator Hector Barreto sentenced for 20 months in jail, over $1 million in restitution and fines for embezzling funds from an underprivileged youth program. Delaney's going to come in and talk about this. This is a wild story. First of all, this picture is from Hector Barreto's phone, Lance.
Oh my goodness!
I know you're
Bob.
a Chief fan. This is from the phone, and Hector's saying he got the 14 tickets. This is after he got a $350,000 infusion, maybe $250,000. Delaney's going to clean up these facts for us. And one of the first things he did is went out and bought tickets, Lance.
Well, Bob, I am well. First of all, guys, you're supposed to do the right thing, and I would not cheat to get Chiefs tickets. But being a Northwest Arkansas person, Kansas City Chiefs are nearby, and you kind of get torn between the Chiefs and the Cowboys. So Hector did not invite me to the game, but I was trying to figure out why Hector got Chiefs tickets, and I found out he was born in Kansas City.
Hector was born in Kansas City, came to Glendale, California, started an insurance agency, and was plucked by President George W. Bush to be the 21st administrator, Delaney, is that correct? Right. Of the SBA. Yep. Served as the SBA administrator for 6 years, and then bounced around a little bit. I know he was a director of a bank. I'll spare them the embarrassment of naming them. And started the Latino Coalition Foundation. Delaney, what happened next?
Yeah, so he was the chairman of the Latino Coalition Foundation, and there's another entity to know, the Hispanic Business Roundtable Institute, which he also operated. One was a charitable tax-exempt organization, and one was a nonprofit. And he, along with another individual, at some point began soliciting donations from some pretty big people. This first person said, okay, I will give you $1.35 million as long as you come up with a solid plan to create this program for underprivileged youth. You're going to get them to collaborate with businesses and learn trade skills and set up a foundation for their future. I will give you 5, I believe, 5 sets of donations, and with the very first one of $350,000, that's where the fraud began. They immediately wired $100,000 from.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you. How much money was in the bank when they got that $350,000, Delaney?
Here, let me double check here.
No, I know the answer. $528.
Yes, $528.
Oh my
goodness.
This Dr. Rapier, he was the victim in this.
Yes.
He got his fortune with a Pain Med cream. He's the chairman of WellMed, and he is well known in the San Antonio area for supporting charitable causes, homeless outreach. I know that he has a fund to support low-income people to keep their homes, and also one of his great passions is to help underserved youth, in this case, Hispanic youth, by giving apprenticeships in the medical industry, which is great. And so I'm stepping on Delaney's toes. So go ahead, Delaney. So Hector got a hold of the whale, Dr. Rapier, and go ahead.
Initially, the original contribution was sent on the 12th, and only 6 days later, $100,000 was sent to another individual who split it between Barreto and the other individual.
How much did Mr. Barreto pocket from the initial $350,000?
He pocketed $50,000 along with some payments for credit cards.
Yeah, what did he do with that $50,000? Did he put it into kids? No. What did he do with the money?
That's a great question. Now, I can't perfectly tell you what he did with the money, but I know it did not go to the foundation or to help.
Paid off a
kids.
lot of credit card debt.
There were trips.
Oh, go back 2 slides, Anna. I'm sorry. This picture just there we go. I don't know what 14 Chiefs tickets cost back then, but more than $1,000, I'm guessing, Lance.
I would suspect well over $1,000, and I'm not suspecting these are the nosebleed section of Arrowhead.
No.
Is it still Arrowhead Stadium? It's
Well,
probably very good tickets.
Delaney's going to be
I
writing
imagine.
about this. Delaney has enough content for the next month, but one of the email exchanges was, "Hey, we can get the suite for some. It's going to be $20,000," and Mr. Barreto said, "No, that's too much. So we're just going to settle for the 14 tickets." Go ahead, Delaney. What happened next?
So I will say, actually, the tickets, I believe, were purchased with another donation from another entity, the Wells Fargo Foundation.
Oh, Wells Fargo bought the tickets for him. Nice.
Yes, I believe so. They were also defrauded by Barreto.
Yeah, Wells
and
Fargo's a
tenants.
victim as well. Yes.
Yes, they
that
donated
clear.
$250,000, and this was to support a matchmaking program, which would help Hispanic businesses pair up with individuals. And that donation was not used for that. It was for the football tickets. There was a photo of Barreto and Gutierrez at a bar, eating and having nice drinks. Credit card expenses here. I am not sure if any of that actually went to its intended use.
Bob, this just in: Kansas City Chief tickets, club level, $450 a piece.
Yeah, well, that's a playoff game in Kansas City this weekend. Come on. But we're going to assuming those tickets were nice tickets as well. Mr. Rapier, who's a pretty smart guy. In fact, you want me to read the quote now, or you want to read it, Delaney? I want you to read the quote. There you go. Go ahead.
What was his? Okay, sorry. So he never ever discussed paying him and Hector through his donations to HPRI or the Latino Coalition Foundation. He assumed they were being paid completely and adequately by WellMed. And he had no idea that Barreto was being paid out from his donations. He assumed he was being paid from somewhere, but did not know where. After looking at tax returns, they determined if they reported any compensation.
Yeah, and that's those. And as an aside, anybody can look up a nonprofit tax return. It is free. Just type in the name. Any nonprofit organization, you can do that. And the value of that for the analyst is it discloses A, officer compensation, but also B, affiliated type of payments. Correct, Lance? I'm going to make sure I'm correct on mine.
That is correct, Bob, and it's publicly available.
It's publicly available.
You can look it up and take a peek at what they did.
You can do it at your church, your trade organizations, anybody. It's public information for that. I'm going to, Anna, do we have the quote on Mr. Rapier of how he termed Mr. Brett? There we go. Go ahead, Ann. Go ahead, Delaney.
Oh, yeah, he referred to them as lying thieves that got away with this crap. He did not want them to get away. He originally wasn't going to testify, but because of how, I guess, upset or offended he was going to go to trial, and that is actually when Barreto pled guilty during the trial. It was the day before Dr. Rapier was going to take the stands.
For those of us who have had the privilege of sitting through depositions, Lance, I know you have, I have, anybody in banking a number of years, you will, but I love this statement. He stated he sat through numerous depositions and he knew how uncomfortable the legal process was. And that was going to be in store for him. But he said these two guys are lying thieves and he wanted them to face justice and he didn't want them to get away with this stuff.
Well, the problem with depositions for anybody who's not been through one, I've had the unfortunate pleasure of being through a number of them, is you're not just stating facts. They're trying to tear apart your statement of facts. So you not only have to defend what you know to be true, but you have to defend yourself. And, I spent a better part of an hour trying to prove I understood SBA lending in one deposition. And I'm just like,
oh, no, yeah.
So anyway,
kudos to him for saying he knew what he was going to put up, what he was going to get. And he said, I'm willing to go through this to get these guys. So Delaney is going to talk about on the sentencing memorandum of Delaney, I believe it's 78 pages of people singing Hector's praises, and he's done a lot of good work. But I think the story needs to be balanced with, at the end of the day, this is the victim. This is what the victim says. And the reality is only 88 only 12% of the money went to its intended causes, and the rest went into the pockets of Gutierrez and Barreto. And there's always twists in this, and this is our Hollywood twist. To court the whale, Gutierrez, and I'm surprised Rapier fell for this. He used his Hollywood connections to arrange concerts for Rapier and his wife on the private Bruno Mars concert at their place in the Bahamas.
Oh, wow.
Rapier's wife took it from there and did most of the work to arrange for the concert as his birthday. Rick Gutierrez also helped negotiate the contract for the Adam Lambert and Queen concert for the Rapiers in Florence, Italy, another private concert. So if Gutierrez had asked to be paid for the extra jobs he did for concerts, he would have done this, by the way. Rapier said, I would have paid for it. The guy has millions starting with a B. But he certainly did not like the fact that his money that he was setting aside was not being used for the proper purposes. Go ahead, Delaney. I'm gonna let you finish up.
Oh goodness. There's a lot of information here.
I know there is. Go ahead. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let you do your stuff.
An interesting part of the 78-page sentencing memorandum from Barreto's defense team was that they said he acknowledged he caused losses to these organizations and to these people, but he was being substantially undercompensated as a CEO, and the losses he ended up causing were outweighed by his contributions to these organizations and these foundations. So in their opinion, it balanced out, and the government sentencing memorandum shot back saying the most egregious attempts at minimization and justifications are his assertions that the nonprofits were not harmed and that the nonprofits were so valuable he was owed the money he stole anyway.
Well,
interesting defense, Lance.
Well, I was just going to say, interesting fact about the sentencing memorandum as well is not only do SBA participant lenders read Fraud Friday, but apparently the courts read Fraud Friday as well, because the Fraud Friday report was cited in the sentencing memorandum.
Well, I guess I have a couple comments on that. Number one is you want to establish your credentials. So Delaney, your credentials are established because the court referenced your reporting. So congratulations to that. But number two, the reason why it was cited is that we, Coleman Report Fraud Friday, caused Mr. Barreto to have harm because of our negative reporting that destroyed his reputation. So because we did that, he should not go to jail. How'd that work out, Delaney?
Not very well. Every request that was in that sentencing memorandum from the defense team, I don't think any of it worked out.
So Delaney, you add that to your resume that you do negative reporting per the per the San Antonio courts. Very good.
We've got a few quick pictures here.
Oh, look at Anna. Good job producing, Anna. Mr. Lambert and Queen, and of course the Bahamas.
Wow.
Bahamas. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So where are we today? So this happened on today's Friday. It happened on Wednesday, correct?
Yes, the sentencing occurred on Wednesday, and now I believe he has, I want to say that he has 6 months to report to the prison and begin his time.
Let's give Mr. Barreto's side of the story. What did he say about his actions?
He said quite a bit. Amongst all of the statements in the sentencing memorandum, he did say he recognized his wrongdoing and that it was eating him up alive. This was not a good representation of who he was, what he stands for, and he intends not to do this again and to continue contributing positively to the community.
I'm going to weigh in here. I'm all for throwing the book at him. What he did was wrong. He pled guilty. He's a fraudster. I am also 100% for redemption, and I have no issue with him doing his 20 months. You read his statements; they are remorseful. You read in the sentencing; you're going to cover it more. He is remorseful. The judge said, "What did the judge say about this, Delaney?" Right at the top of the reporting.
I did love this quote. He said, "You all were rising stars in your respective communities, and it's a sad day. It's actually hard to sentence you."
Yeah. So, but I tend to agree. I think this is a one-off. I don't think he'll do it again. And I hope the man is young enough. I hope that there's a redemption story, and he's certainly in the depths of it now. But Lance, I know we all know people who turn their lives around, and we certainly hope this is not a repeat offender. Lance, I'm going to let you go, and then I'll Delaney finish up.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's a story.
It's sad.
It's a sad story of a man who did a tremendous amount of good for the small business community over the years.
We're going to cover that.
It's just something that I want everybody to think about. It's just like a small business owner. Bob, I've heard you tell this story where it's so important for small business owners to be on top of their financial situation, to understand what's going in and out of their checking account and their operating account, because they may have a perfectly honest bookkeeper who is having a hard time paying their credit card payment. They steal a little money from the credit card, and then they figure out, oh, that was easy, and they do more and more and more. And I think this is a story of a good person who figured out that he could get access to funds in a way that's not appropriate, and he took advantage of it.
A good person who made bad choices.
Yeah, bad choices.
But
Delaney, I believe Hector will have an opportunity to rebuild himself.
Yeah, and so while we're piling on, and rightfully so, he caused a lot of harm. There's a lot of youth that do not be able to take advantage of what he wanted to do, and that harm needs to be recognized. He needs to be punished. The good doctor, and I'm sure Wells Fargo aren't happy, and they want to mitigate their damage to them and also to their reputation. They don't want to be dragged through this. But I certainly hope that in 5 years we can be having another conversation of what good he has done from this horrible situation. We will not be on Friday. Because of Martin Luther King. But Delaney, wrap it up for us and maybe give a preview of what you're going to be writing about next week.
Wow, we've got, goodness, I think there's probably about 300 pages possibly of just documents and information. So I'm going to be reporting other aspects of this. Like you said, recognizing the good, recognizing the bad, and y'all said it better than I could have ever said it myself. You can honor or recognize all of the good while still acknowledging the bad decisions he made.
Good job to finish. Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great weekend.
Great weekend.
Mm.